It's just a nice change of pace. The weather obviously is way better, and more space, and it was just time to move on. You know, I still love New York. Got a lot of friends there. My family's there. Just needed a change. And it's been great. It's been very good to me so far. Yeah, I ride my bike. I collect old cars now too, because I have space, and so yeah, I do both. It's great. I mean, I made those paintings right before. They were my newest pieces that I made right before I came here. So yeah, just pushing myself. You know, it's hopefully the shape of some new things to come. You know. Well, that's very similar to the size of the studio I had in New York, which is where I was working and living once we had decided to do this exhibition. Now I'm in LA, it's a little bigger. but no, I felt right at home. It's not about the size of the room, it's whether I feel like I can actually get something accomplished. And I walked in and I just knew that I could. And yeah, I've been spending a lot of time here making the guards work extra hours and stay late. And it's a real authentic space. It's not a installation or. I mean, I really like the paint on the walls and the floors is there because I've been painting this whole time, not because we faked it. This is real. So yeah, I mean, I created these paintings, most of them in here. A couple of them were things I brought from Los Angeles, but 99% of the things hanging around this level of the room were made in this room. In a frenzy, as usual. Again, since I was a child, I mean, I've been drawing skulls and collecting them, and my mother has been giving them to me as presents. There's a little skull on the bookshelf over there that I stole out of actually not my friend, a kid I hated in 4th grade. I stole it from his desk. And they wouldn't let anybody go to lunch because he figured out that someone stole it, and I kept my mouth shut and just never fessed up to it. And I still have it. It's on the shelf over there. And I glued a fake diamond in its eye. Yeah, so I don't know. It's something it changes. Sometimes it's been about, there's a painting up there that's all black with the Grim Reaper in the rowboat, and that's about my high school math teacher, who was a really close friend of mine, that took me to my first Grateful Dead concert and many Grateful Dead concerts, and just kind of became like a father figure of sorts to me over the years. And he passed away in 2010, so I made an entire show about him. So that one's about him, and there's the piece about Dash out there, and quite often the skulls can be just a self-portrait, and you know, it takes different forms all the time. There's no definitive reason as to why I use them. It always changes, You know, but mostly just to remind you to live while you can. That's it, because that thing is looking at you and it's coming. You know, what's that? It's just reminding you to live, and embracing your life and embracing your death, and when it happens, you'll be ready for it. You know, you've accepted that it's going to happen. You know, and you know, that's how I try to live. You know, it's part of my work. It's a very big part of my work. It's the main purpose behind my work these days. You know. Yeah, I mean, I carry the book with me and read it in the studio and at home, and where I have the app on my phone. You know, I look at it all the time, and it just helps me get through the day. It's nice motivation.
Could you tell us a little bit about
I mean, I just like looking at them. It's just really just makes me feel good. That's it. I mean, it calms my mind in some really weird way. I don't know how to describe it, but yep. I mean, I just collect these images and tape them up and change them around, and then they end up getting writing on them and paint all over them and all that kind of stuff. So they kind of become part of the space. So just like I grew up, I spent most of my time in my after schools and weekends in my best friend's house, and his parents were divorced, and this was the mid and late 70s, and his dad was the very classic like 70s bachelor guy, divorcee, and had the parties and all that kind of stuff, and there was just always Playboys in the house, so we just looked at them, and I remember one day I was like, all right, I'm gonna take one home, and I used to carry this little red suitcase to Don's house for sleepovers. So I hid it in my suitcase, and I got home, I was really nervous because I didn't want my parents to see that I had it. So I hid my suitcase behind these long curtains in our living room. And my dad somehow was like, where's your suitcase? Where's your suitcase? And I was like, I don't know where it is, just like, I don't know, I lost it, And he found it eventually, and I got in trouble. Yeah, for stealing the Playboy magazine. And I had to bring it back.
Work of shame.
But I was probably like 6 when that happened. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what it is that I want to make, but I mean, I would like to continue doing it. It's obviously very precious, expensive way to create something, so it's not something I can just do at the drop of a hat, but I'd like to keep it going. It's my first attempt at it, and I'm very pleased. And I think it's going to be a nice surprise for people to see, because I've never done anything like it before, and it's very exciting to do it. It blows my mind. I haven't really accepted the fact that it exists. It's neat. Yeah, I mean, it's casting, I didn't personally do it, I worked with a whole team of people to make that thing happen. It wasn't just me sitting with a pile of gold, not my skill set. I mean, he's just a musician. My father is really a big jazz collector and writes reviews about record albums and things for magazines, and since I was little he's been bringing me to jazz concerts, and our house is full of records, hundreds of thousands of records. It's kind of out of control, actually. So Chet was one of the guys that he was really into and just started getting me into it as a kid, and he's just a really interesting, tragic figure as kind of like when he was young, he was very handsome, like almost James Dean type looking guy, and was kind of like, they didn't have like those teeny bopper magazines yet, but he was kind of, like a pinup idol for like girls, but then he was also in movies. And then his life just was kind of dark. I guess he had a lot of heavy shit that happened to him when he was younger, and he became a junkie, and a really bad one. And so he went from this like incredibly handsome, talented man to just a real degenerate junkie. And when he passed away, he looked like he was like 90 years old, and he was only in his 50s. And he fell out of a window in Amsterdam, out of a hotel window, and died on the sidewalk. So it's just a real interesting figure to me, and somebody that the jazz world kind of swept under the carpet, and he was so important and played with Charlie Parker and everybody. He was a really important figure, but because of how he treated people, he was kind of ignored. And so I like to bring him out, talk about him, because he did create some of the most beautiful music ever. So that's what's really important. They just kind of happen, man. I never know. You know, I constantly paint over things that I've started, or, you know, I'll finish a painting sometimes, show it, get it back if I haven't sold it, and I'll paint over it and go at the canvas again, you know. You never know. Really never know. Really never know. It changes all the time. There's no rules, no limits. There's no reason to have any limits. We've just been getting a bunch of orders. We're about to have stuff come out relatively soon, you know. Everything's being produced right now for the orders, and we're actively working on the next batch of things. I don't know, man. It's just I decided to I've done a lot of collaborations and learned a lot about how it works and had a lot of success with it. So I just decided that I should try doing my own thing with it. Not try, I'm doing my own thing with it, and having my own brand to fully control it. It doesn't mean I don't want to work with other brands still. It's just, it's nice to have a consistent format that I can always just put something out. I mean, doing cut and sew things and not just have it be graphic t-shirts. Austin, my partner, is like an accomplished clothing designer, has done things way before he met me, and was, you know, has done well with it. So joining forces with him is nice. It's a collaborative effort. It's not just me. It's both of us together, and just some of it has my artwork on it, some of it doesn't. Some of it's, you know, I'm wearing everything besides my sneakers and my socks is from my brand, you know, and that's kind of spawned from the fact that I didn't really like what I was finding in stores, and couldn't find exactly what I wanted. So I decided to start making it myself. And you expect the unexpected. That's what you can expect. We're going to do a lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff coming. I don't really like to talk about that. It just happened. It just happened. I've never done any interviews about it. I just don't talk about it. It's a great project, great honor, but I did it for Kanye. It was for his vision, and it was just nice to be a part of it. You know, big honor. I have a lot of respect for him, a lot of respect for his music, a lot of respect for the people that he surrounds himself with. I really just a great experience, very positive, and very well received, and very successful. That's it. It's neat. It's really neat. It's a great honor. Yeah, I have some. I own a lot of work by Eddie Martinez, because we're really close and we trade. And we buy work out of each other's shows sometimes, and, you know, support. And his wife Sam Moyer is another really fantastic artist. I have some of her works. I've got some Chris Johansson pieces. I collect a lot of old tattoo flash, like really nice, unique, one-of-a-kind stuff. Photographs I like to collect, and my own shit. My house has a lot of my own work in it, because one of the main reasons I like making stuff is to look at it, you know. So yeah, but that's something I intend on expanding on. I collect cars, classic Chevys and Harleys, and lots of pairs of vans. I mean, I never did it as a job. I never tattooed in a shop. I've only maybe done 75 to 100 tattoos in total over the last 10, 12 years. It's never I mean, I haven't done it in a couple of years. Doesn't mean I won't, but I don't really enjoy doing it. I've just done it for my friends when it's the right moment, you know, but I've never done it as a living. There's people that are really good at it, like Scott Campbell, and, you know, he's a really good friend of mine. there's people that know what they're doing, and then there's assholes like me that don't know what they're doing, but get to do it anyway. So. I don't read much other than reading the Tao and books by Ram Dass and things like this. Wayne Dyer is another guy I read a lot. Listening to a guy named Mika P. Hinson, you know him? Really good, like singer-songwriter dude. Lots of Grateful Dead. U2 a lot. Coldplay a lot. Radiohead a lot. Bob Dylan. And Bowie. I've been on a long string of David Bowie lately. Tend to listen to the same records for like months, you know. So the dude straying from the things I usually listen to is this Mika P. Hinson guy, somebody that I just recently got into. I really like him. Beautiful songs. I only really take Sunday off and hang out with my girlfriend and my dog and my friends and, you know, ride my bikes, and I don't have a lot of free time, but it's on purpose, you know. I love to work. It's my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite thing to do. Not a lot of, I don't go on vacations or things like this. It's no interest to me. I like to drive, but I'm not going to the Caribbean or anything like that, you know. I mean, really, I'm just going to work really hard on Best Wishes and, you know, shows. You know, this is a big step, and this took a lot out of me. I'm just going to go back in the studio and work, see what happens, you know. That's it. But Best Wishes we're going to really do a lot with over the next several months, really push that. We've been pushing it. It's going great. It's been getting a lot of good response, and it's going to good stores, and it's cool. It's exciting. It's nice to build something and watch it work, you know. Good intentions make good things happen, you know.